another black man gets killed on TV, it's just Wednesday. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. How were your eggs? Were your eggs good? You have good eggs? It's great. Okay, great. Tonight, decisive deliberations determine Donald Trump's destiny, debating his deception's depth. Elon's electric escapade ends embarrassingly in the estuary. New NFL lawsuit nudges notorious network into antitrust negotiations. Not now! See these stories and more of what we're talking about on this week's episode of The Blackman Show. Welcome to the BS. Now let's go. What is good? What is good? Ladies and gentlemen, I am Seven Blackman, and this is The Blackman Show, a place where we can dissect the news with a little bit of 7 cents, sponsored by the good people at theblackmanshow.com. So make sure you smash that like button like your first name was The and your last name was Hulk. Either way, let's get it. So I first wanted to start off, I always be getting these, Seven, how come you don't ever say nothing about the president and the presidential elections, and you especially don't say nothing about Donald Trump? Why don't you say nothing about Trump? And I love to call him Trump because I know how many people it pisses off when I call him Trump, even though that's his name. I don't talk about Donald Trump, whatever, in this whole, in all this stuff, because I just feel like there are certain people that are allowed to be the spectacle. I think there are certain people that are allowed to be the clowns. And I think that he is one of those people. I think he's one of those people that, regardless of what he does out there in the ether, in space, in wherever he is, regardless of what he does, he won't get in trouble. Now, you and I, if we were to do those same things, well, hell, it's a wrap. He's got creditors to this day that are that he owes millions and millions of dollars to, but yet he's still out and about, no problem. Now, if you and I, are in arrears on our student loans, well, that might be a whole different story. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm just saying. So. But he's the one that is allowed to be the spectacle, so everyone can say, "Ooh, look what he did this time. Ooh, look what he did this time." And for me, I'm kind of over it, to be quite honest. And to that end, I mean, I don't consider myself to be any more able than the next person, but I do find it hella strange that so many people would just latch on to a person, regardless of what they've done. Like, okay, I get it. I can dislike R. Kelly and still play his music while knowing that he ain't ever invited to none of my daughter's tea parties. You know what I'm saying?
Use your common sense.
So I have a line, I guess you could say. So is that the same with how it is with these Trump acolytes? I mean, at the same time, we know who the Republican nominee is going to be. I mean, we ain't even got to play this game for real. Everything that's happening between now and November is, to me, just filler. You know what I'm saying? Like, barring some major catastrophe keeping us from voting, despite whatever trial, travesty, or trauma befalls the tried and true titan of tryptophan, his people are ride or die. Just like them Drake stands out there. You know what I'm saying? I mean, look, there are people right now perfectly fine with the fact that a 32-year-old Drake was pen pals with a 14-year-old Millie Bobby Brown.
What about your relationship with Drake? Tell me about your friendship. How did this all come about?
I love him. I met him in Australia, and he's honestly so fantastic and a great friend and a great role model. You know, we just texted each other the other day, and he was like, "I miss you so much." I was like, "I miss you more." He's coming to Atlanta, so I'm definitely gonna go and see him. I'm so excited. Yeah.
What advice does he give you? Like, what does he say?
About boys. He helps me.
What?
Yeah. He's great. He's wonderful. I love him.
What's his advice with boys?
You know, that stays in the text messages.
And are tired of the beefs and are just waiting for winner Will Smith to bring back more happy raps about feelings, provided that he can do so in between his career lessons he is obviously getting from R. Kelly. And to me, all of this courtroom drama with Trump is probably to help keep us focused off the fact that we're sending money like wasted water to Israel to bomb the ish out of an absolute strip of a country while we telling Putin, shame on you for doing the exact same thing. But you know, this helps us to say, hey, look at the spectacle. While we know that saying anything bad about the all-seeing eye country will get you banned before you even monetize, and because I sometimes like to say the truth that will benefit the world, look, I really don't want to hamstring myself before I'm even able to run a race. You know what I'm saying? So with that said, this week, the jury in Donald Trump's hush money case ended its first day of deliberations on Wednesday without reaching a verdict. The jury of 7 men and 5 women deliberated for about 4.5 hours before being sent home around 4 p.m. They are scheduled to resume deliberations on Thursday, during which they plan to rehear key witness testimonies and review the judge's legal instructions on the 34 counts against the coochie grabber. Now, to be brief, the trial revolves around Trump's allegations that he falsified business records to conceal that $130,000 hush money payment that he made to adult films actress Stormy Daniels during his 2016 presidential campaign. Yeah, we still talking about this shit. And to be sure, this was to keep her quiet about possibly going public with the story of their interaction, which took place in 2006 at a golf tournament shortly after his wife had given birth to Barron. Now, prosecutors argue that these payments were misrepresented as legal expenses to hide their true purpose, which was influencing the election by suppressing potentially damaging information. For what it's worth, Trump maintains his innocence, denying both the affair with Daniels and any wrongdoing in the payment scheme. He criticized the trial as unfair and continues to voice his grievances on social media during the jury's deliberation. The jury must unanimously agree that Trump intended to commit or conceal a crime for conviction to take place. Now, what do you honestly think of the chances of them reaching a unanimous decision? I'd love to know your thoughts on that. As for me, I think the outcome of this trial could have significant implications for his political future, especially as he seeks to reclaim the White House. Meaning, if nothing else, we'll hear more and more about it as November nears. But in the meantime, Trump's still at the courthouse, live tweeting his frustrations like a teenager who just got grounded. Somebody call up your boy Elon and tell him his Tesla Cybertruck is back in the headlines and not for winning any off-road championships. This time, my favorite futuristic downgraded DeLorean pickup decided to take a dip in a California river and ended up looking like it was auditioning for Titanic 2: Electric Boogaloo. Now we've got a shiny, angular Cybertruck trying to cross a river at Azusa Canyon. It's like watching a toddler trying to jump over a puddle. You know, adorable, but you know it's kind of doomed from the start. So we got this video that shows the Cybertruck stuck in the water, tires submerged, looking like it's thinking, this wasn't part of the test drive, right? The driver tried to back it up and give it another go, probably hoping for a miracle or maybe just to try to impress somebody who obviously wasn't. But the Cybertruck got stuck again, proving once and for all that not everything that Elon Musk touches turns to gold. As a matter of fact, what is the last thing that he's made that's been a full success? You know, not one that you have to put an asterisk by. So after several failed attempts to escape the treacherous puddle, a Chevy Silverado pickup truck came to the rescue. That's right, the Cybertruck had to be saved by a good old-fashioned gas-guzzling American classic. It's like watching Superman get saved by Batman, or Iron Man get saved by Batman, or the Hulk. Look, what I'm saying here is Batman has no power. You're supposed to be the big brain baddie who's got it all figured out, and this is what you put out on the road? Well, maybe we need to go holler at old Batman. See what he's got cooking in that old cave of his. No diddy. Commenters on the video wasted no time roasting the driver. One said, thought this was the best off-road vehicle ever. What happened? Personally, I'm thinking Elon will have to start making special roads for his special vehicles to get the special acknowledgement that they deserve. Another pointed out that Cybertruck is just too stiff for how large of a wheelbase it has, basically calling it the rigid grandpa of pickup trucks, which is weird for something that's new. And I think one guy nailed it saying, I would never take a $100,000 truck in a river like that. First of all, it's electric, so I'd worry about that. Second, just because it has 1,000 horsepower and tons of torque or whatever does not mean it can do anything. Yeah, maybe save the Cybertruck for the Whole Foods parking lot, or making a nearby Hummer driver have big truck envy. Whatever you need to do there, buddy. And if you think this is the first time the Cybertruck has embarrassed itself, think again. Just back in March, one driver decided to ram into the iconic Beverly Hills hotel sign and then had the nerve to ask Elon Musk for a new one. Yeah, sure. Just because crashing a $100,000 truck into a hotel sign is totally the valet's fault, right? Right. And that's not to mention the way that they don't seem to do well in the cold or in extreme heat, or in the snow, or anywhere that they usually promote where off-road trucks can go. I mean, basically, if this is all just a street tank made to make people stare at it, look, I think I could find a better way to waste $100,000. That's all I'm saying. So if you're thinking about driving a Cybertruck, just remember, it might look cool, but it's not gonna help you win any off-road adventures, and stay to the places that you already know. Remember the words of off-roading enthusiasts TLC in their smash hit Waterfalls, where they said, please stick to the rivers and the lakes that you're used to. Look, this guy was obviously in some new waters. I think it's safe to say. Now, one can only imagine how the stock will look after this newest Memorial Day memory, especially considering how your boy Elon is trying to get Tesla stockholders to vote to reinstate his $56 billion compensation package. That's right. $56 billion. And for that, you get a tour of the plant where they make these trucks with the problems. And for that, he gets $56 billion, provided that you were a stockholder of record as of April 15th and you vote by June 7th. But, you know, that seems like a pretty fair trade. You vote and let him get his money, which is $56 billion, and you get to see him tell you how great it is to have 56. I don't know, but that wouldn't be your boy, is all I'm saying. And with the tour being led by Musk himself, I guess you are then provided the opportunity to answer the age-old question. If you buy something and you realize it's someone's poo, do you need to meet the man to give his poo back to? Do you give him back his poo with just a little of your doo-doo? Or do you just stay home and stew, wishing the charge never went through? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. But seriously, do you think you could or would ever fork over $100,000 for an off-roader that can't even off-road? Let me know your thoughts on this one in those comments. In a stunning turn of events, the Fifth Circuit Court dealt a blow to the concept of qualified immunity by denying its application to two Houston police officers who wrongly arrested a man for attempting to detain a drunk driver. This decision, particularly coming from a traditionally conservative court, marks a significant departure from the status quo and could have far-reaching implications for law enforcement accountability. So here's what happened, right? On March 23rd, 2019, Austin Hughes, a black man and former police officer, witnessed a drunk driver crashing into a highway median and attempting to flee into traffic. Hughes, recognizing the danger posed by the intoxicated driver, detained him until the police arrived. However, instead of commending Hughes for his quick thinking and bravery, officers Michael Garcia and Joshua Few arrested Hughes based on the drunk driver's outlandish account of the incident. This is the driver's version of the events as recorded in the Fifth Circuit Court's decision, which was absolutely ludicrous and unsubstantiated, okay? It goes as follows, quote, on 3/23/2019, I was at a flea market with Jesse and his friends. Real quick, before we get too far into this, for whatever reason, Austin is referred to as Jesse by this guy. So carrying on, Jesse said that we could go back to his place and that he lived on 59 South near downtown. I told Jesse that I live on I-10 and he said that he would take me home later. I said okay because I had been drinking all night and had more than 7 beers. I was too drunk to drive, but I had a friend at the bar that could have taken me home. Jesse said, let's go to his house, and he offered to drive me, so we went. Midway during the trip, I was not familiar with where I was at. I started to ask Jesse where he was taking me. I finally asked Jesse just to take me home, and that is when he got mad. Jesse asked if I had something going on with his wife. I told Jesse no. Jesse then asked me what I got going on with his wife. I was confused and asked what he meant. Jesse said he knows there's something going on. Jesse stopped my truck on the freeway and got out of it. He came to my passenger side door and was trying to get me out of the car. I was confused at this point and only wanted to know what was going on. Jesse kept telling me I am fucked now and how I was going to be deported. I was on the freeway, so I could not just get away from Jesse. Finally, Jesse told me to turn around and put my hands behind my back. When I did not do it fast enough, Jesse kneed my legs to force me to comply. I asked Jesse why he was doing this and who gave him the right to do this. Jesse told me that he was a police officer. Jesse then put me in handcuffs. My leg was hurting, making it hard for me to stand, and I had scratches on my wrist from him trying to handcuff me. End quote. And scene. What the fact that you keep calling this man Jesse, and you've said it so many times wrongfully, but boldly and wrongfully. It's just crazy to me. You know what I'm saying? Now, despite the incredulous nature of the story and its lack of credibility, Officers Garcia and Few chose to believe the drunk driver's account and allowed him to go free into the hands of his family while arresting Hughes on felony charges of impersonating a police officer. And I know what y'all thinking. But Seven, what gives him the right to just grab up somebody even if he thinks they're committing a felony? Well, my little chickadee, the fact that he's in the state of Texas where it's legal to perform a citizen's arrest if you witness someone in the midst of committing a felony. You see, that's exactly what Hughes did. This all led to Hughes spending 24 hours in jail, incurring thousands of dollars in legal expenses and just clearing his name, and facing months of unemployment due to the initial felony charge. However, Hughes refused to accept the injustice and pursued legal action against the Houston Police Department, and I honestly couldn't believe the outcome myself. In an unprecedented decision, the Fifth Circuit Court denied qualified immunity to Officers Garcia and Few, holding them personally accountable for their actions. Now, this ruling sends a powerful message that law enforcement officers can't just act with impunity and must be held to the same legal standards as ordinary citizens, or else they have to pay out of their own damn pockets without the veil of the blue shield to protect them from, say, destroying the city while chasing down bad guys. You do that, Few and Garcia, and that's your ass, you see. Now, I just wish that they would remove it for all cops. That way, you know, the playing field kind of gets a little bit more even, you know what I'm saying? Now, by challenging the doctrine of qualified immunity, the court has opened the door for victims of police misconduct to seek justice and hold officers accountable for their actions. Furthermore, this decision highlights the importance of judicial oversight and the role of courts in upholding constitutional rights. The Fifth Court's decision to deny qualified immunity in this case is a victory for justice and accountability. It reaffirms the principle that nobody, not even law enforcement officers, is above the law, and sets a precedent for future cases involving police misconduct. But please, let me know your thoughts on this one down in those comments. Now, in NFL news, America's favorite sports league is facing some legal turmoil. This time, it's an antitrust lawsuit that's about to put the NFL's Sunday ticket in the courtroom spotlight. It seems the NFL is getting tackled by a lawsuit claiming that the way it bundles games in the NFL Sunday ticket is all but kosher. It's no good. Apparently, Tyler Webb, who co-hosts a podcast with former NFL quarterback, Kurt Benkert? Never heard of the guy. Can somebody check on that name? But Webb went viral on Twitter explaining how this lawsuit could cost the NFL a whopping $6.1 billion, which would amount to a little bit under $2,500 for their 2.4 million individual and additional 48,000 business account holders, dating as far back as 2015. And to put it in perspective, that's like losing Tom Brady's entire earnings times 6. So here's the deal. If you're one of those dedicated NFL Sunday ticket subscribers shelling out the big bucks to watch your out-of-market games, you might just be the reason the league's in hot water in the first damn place. See, Webb argues that a win for the plaintiffs could mean fans only have to pay for their favorite team's package instead of the whole package. You see what I'm saying? So instead of watching the Bears lose and then being stuck with nothing else but the Raiders or a Jets game, I can only get disappointed by one game that week instead of all 3. And honestly, that's not a bad idea when you think about it. And if you can believe the post found on Reddit, you may learn that there are many who are tired of having to shell out an entire cost of your girl's mani-pedi and hair for the week just to watch one game you want and the other 15 that you couldn't care less about. But don't get too excited just yet. The NFL is gearing up to fight this, so don't start spending your DirectTV money on tickets to the Bears game in London just yet. After all, YouTube just secured the rights to Sunday Ticket, taking over from DirectTV, who had it since the Stone Age of 1994. YouTube didn't pay a fortune just last year to host a few sad Bengals games. They want all them matchups, even the ones that you ignore while you refill your nachos. I mean, again, if Reddit forums can be believed, they haven't even turned a profit yet. So they're not looking to be giving up bread in a class action suit when they just really got into the damn building. All right, let's be real here. The NFL, the YouTube probably looking at the lawsuit like,
who these mugs think they are? Y'all want choice and flexibility in your viewing options. This is not Burger King. You just can't have it your way.
But for fans, this lawsuit could give them more control over their football Sundays and save a chunk of change. That is, until the teams start getting greedy. Because, the Chiefs are doing pretty well, and they do need a little skrilla for a new stadium, you know what I'm saying? So let them find the ability to crowdfund for a new stadium by charging a premium, meaning a little bit more, to watch their games. Meanwhile, poor teams like the old Panthers gonna be selling their streams on Napster or giving them shits away for free on Pirate Bay. I don't know. And to those of you, me, who have found the ability to watch my favorite game during the seasons with more cost-effective or even cost-free methods, will having the ability to pay to solely watch your specific team for a specific fee make you ditch the anchor, or is it too damn good to let go of a good deal? Inquiring minds want to know, where do you go to watch these games for free? And the fights too. In the end, whether the NFL decides to settle or fight it out, one thing's for sure: the lawyers are about to get paid. So get your popcorn ready and stay tuned. The legal drama is just getting started, and it promises to be more entertaining than a Dolphins game in December or a Bears game damn near anytime. I can't lie. They was trash, man, for a long time. Come on. Now, I'm sure everybody's seen this viral video that's been going out of this young man that's been getting beaten down from this police officer. It looks like he's defending himself some kind of way by 2 police officers who were trying to put him under arrest, right? And as the story goes, apparently the young man, who's only 16 years old, even though he's bigger than both of them, was swimming in a pool in an apartment complex, and apparently he was there without permission, or I guess he didn't actually live there, so he was trespassing or some kind of way. But no word actually came out to whether the boy was with friends or not, or like maybe he had some friends who lived in the apartment complex or something like that, and maybe they allowed him to come in and, I don't know, they stepped away or something like that. But we've seen stuff like this happen already, right? Where a young man or a group of black people, because this stuff only happens to black people. You don't see this stuff happening to white people. You just don't see it. You don't see it. Let me know whenever you've seen white people getting kicked out of a pool. or white people getting, yeah. Tell me about the time you've seen that. White people getting kicked out of a pool. When does it ever happen? So let's not act like we don't know what this is or where or who we talking about in this context, right? So we have this young man who's and I'm not, he's a minor, and I'm not really talking so much about what happened in the video itself, right? So that's why I'm not really reporting on his name, his mother, and all that stuff. It's a tragic situation, and I feel like it should not have happened for myriad reasons, but we'll get to that in a second. All I can say that we do know is the fact that the young man did not comply easily for whatever reason. I don't know what's going on. I mean, because now I could speculate, because sure, we do have a fear, especially with everything that we've been seeing lately, with the issuance of social media or the ubiquity of social media. We can see all sorts of stuff that's going on amongst our people and interactions with police officers. We've seen it, and we see it nonstop, 24/7, all the damn time, from Eric Garner to George Floyd and everything in between, Alton Sterling, Breonna Taylor, all these names of people we know. We know how cops interactions can go with people who look like us, right? We know how that can go, right? So now we have this young man who's not complying. Maybe he's seen some of that stuff, and maybe he has a fear like, oh crap, now the cops are here. I'm afraid. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? Like, again, I'm speculating. Or he could have just been like, man, F that, y'all not gonna tell me what to do. Because a lot of us do that too, especially when we're young and hot and full of piss and vinegar. Absolutely. A lot of us be old and full of piss and vinegar and want to do it then. So I understand. But ultimately, the young man ended up with a knee, getting tased and getting a knee on his neck. Now, thankfully, he survived, but I don't know what that means of the sort of scars that he's gonna have to live with. So I can only imagine what that's gonna look like. And I get it that nobody likes to blame the victim, but if there's a possibility of being out there, right, or being out of compliance with some sort of rule, what is fighting the people who are hired to impose that compliance going to actually do? Now, I get it, because when you're young, you're not thinking about all the areas. You're just thinking this person's right here in front of you, and they're the one that's stopping you, and they're the one who is they're your opposer, they're your offender, they're your oppressor at that moment in time. So I get that. However you look at it, fine. That's your impression of it, and I get it. I'm only saying this now because I have years and a little bit of wisdom under this hat. So, but like I said, I can remember when I was a hot-headed teen myself, and when I was hot, you couldn't tell me nothing. So I still want to take this time to if nothing else, if I can tell any of the kids out there anything, it's this, right? Most of the war that you are willing to wage won't even leave your block. You know what I'm saying? So that means that a lot of the fights that you're willing to fight, you're not willing to fight that strongly when you're out of your element. You know what I'm saying? Or you're not as powerful, you're not as willing to be as forceful or vengeful or whatever it is when you're out of your element. When stuff is real, when you really need that aggression, when that aggression is really needed, it's nowhere to be found. See what I'm saying? And I'm not talking about this young man in general. I'm just talking about us. We all have. I've done that. We do that. We'll fight our teacher or something like that because I can't stand him, but then we go out in public or whatever around real policemen and cops or something like that. We won't do that. Like, we video of a young man trying to fight his own teacher, you know what I'm saying, in Texas. So I mean, we see stuff like that, and we know that we will do that and fight those fights. But when it's time for real fights, the real fights that we need to be waging, the ones that kind of set us free, those fights, those reparation type of fights that we see on Twitter taking place all the time, like those sort of fights, we don't have that sort of angst and energy for. You see what I'm saying? Like, what I really want to discuss is how it was presented here in Kansas City. So like when they first were leading up to the story on, I can't remember, if I can remember to bring in the video, maybe I'll pull it up on the screen. But when they were just leading up to the story and they were going to a commercial break, they were like, when we come back, here's a story of this young man, blah, blah, blah. They showed the whole video, the entire video. Young man getting his ass beaten, tased by 2 cops, little cops at that. There was no blurred images leading up to, there was nothing. It was just look at how this little cop is knocking out this big ass N-word. You know what I'm saying? Like, look at that. Look at him. I mean, and for me, I'm not gonna lie, this reminded me a lot of the Eric Garner strangling. You know what I'm saying? When you saw out of the cops, if you remember the video, if you look at the video of Eric Garner when he's being strangled or when he's being taken down by the cops, it's really only one cop, the smallest one, little Mr. Napoleon complex. And I hate to say it like that, but what else do you want to call it? Little Mr. Napoleon complex. I need to take out the big guy. I need to feel big and bad. And so I'm going to take out the biggest one I see. Here's a big one right here. I'm going to take him out. Chokes him to death, kills him. You see what I'm saying? And so here we have this little cop. Now I get it. This kid is 16, so you have to, like, even size-wise, that's one thing, but you still have to deal with the mind. He has the mind of a 16-year-old. So you have to meet him where his mind is, not where his body is. That's a lot of times when people get things mixed up and twisted, because they think just because somebody has the uniform on, they think that they actually are fit and it fits well. They think that that's the actual job that they should be in. That's not always the case. I digress. But to me, Eric Garner and this young man's situation, they aren't much different. I mean, obviously, you know, well, actually, they're not, because in both situations, they're both being asked to comply while they're both getting the fuck beat out of them in the same time. You know what I'm saying? So maybe that's the new model. I don't know. I'm not an officer myself. So this is where we are now, though. Just put all the damn Emmett Till shit on the screen until we're to the point where it doesn't even matter to us anymore. You know, we're absolutely desensitized to any of the images and all that stuff we see. Another black man gets killed on TV. It's just Wednesday. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. How were your eggs? Were your eggs good? You have good eggs? It's great. Okay, great. You know what I'm saying? Like, so is that what we're supposed to do? Is that the point of this? So while we're getting desensitized, the ones who find sport in situations like this, they are energized. I mean, just imagine the outcomes from you know, that sort of programming. You know, you put it out there for one side, but you don't put it out for the other side. But just where do you think this sort of stuff leads? That's really what I want to ask you, the good people. And I'll ask your thoughts in general. What are your thoughts on this beating and everything that occurred? Like, I'm fine with the people who are thinking that the kid would have avoided a beating had he just complied. Because, you know, I get that, because there's always a bunch of them in the comments and sending me emails. But beyond that, my real question is, and I honestly hate that I have to do this, but for some of y'all don't get the picture any other damn way. But look, do you think that showing a black cop knocking down a disorderly white kid on the 7 o'clock and 9 o'clock news for all to see wouldn't spark some sort of outrage, justified or not? Because personally, while I'll genuinely have dialogue with you about the virtues of compliance or not, what you won't be able to do is sell me on violence to a child on national TV without a warning or some sort of discretional care indication. Something. Shield your eyes, something like that. Hey kids, this ain't for kids. But no, let's show a damn kid getting knocked the fuck out by a grown ass man on national TV all day long, on repeat. Keep it going for the ratings. Fuck. Instead it seems they're like, yeah, but it's a black kid getting hit in the face by a grown ass, albeit little, white man. Let it run on national TV. So I'm just curious to what the underlying message here really is. What would it be if we did that? I'd love to know your thoughts on this juicy tidbit down in those comments below. And that is a wrap for today's episode. Don't forget to cruise by our merch shop at theblackmanshow.com for some exclusive gear. You can also catch me on all social platforms that show The Black Man, or join the conversation in our Facebook group or page, both named The Black Man Show. Now, if you're feeling what I'm giving, help your boy keep it in the building with the HBO special. Yep, that's right. Help your brother out. Smash that like button, hit that subscribe, and spread this word by sharing this with your friends. Want to drop me a line directly? Shoot me an email at tbs@theblackmanshow.com. Now, we will see you on the next one. Be good to each other. Until then, peace. And I'm out.